Yep. Yep. Wu-Tang. Nice. Welcome back. We got our last segment. I'm
Yeah,
Jason.
I feel like in the future people will.
Oh, hold on, Paul.
You know how
Hold on,
they
Paul.
All
You're
right,
jumping the gun. I'm Jason. I'm not your lawyer. I'm on with Paul. Paul's
Right.
back. We're talking about Ethereum
We are.
and whether or not it's a security. We kind of decided that the token sale was,
Yeah.
and we decided that it might be just a little too complex to be the first ICO to go down from SEC regulation, and that regulators may be waiting for one a little bit easier to make the precedent.
Simpler, a little bit more unpopular,
Yeah.
a little easier to dislike the people involved.
Yeah.
Maybe Slockit, maybe the DAO, maybe who knows, maybe step into a wall.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could be. I'm just wondering out loud if people will look back on the length of this and other podcasts and just think, wow, 3 hours an episode, that would be like torture or slavery, or like the way we look back on the caste system or something.
Well,
I can't believe they did that in 2017. They just did podcasts for hours and hours, and they forced the audience to listen to them.
We haven't forced anybody, and I've been breaking this into like 20-minute segments, and
yeah. Well,
no,
it's for the future.
They're here.
It's for the historians.
We're here for these viewers.
Right.
We're here for the people that want to know.
Hey.
I mean, selflessly
Viewers.
moving forward. Paul's in it for the T-shirt.
I'm absolutely 100% in it for the T-shirt.
I mean,
I'm gonna get my orange T-shirt. I'm really excited. Church of Blurk.
Who doesn't want?
Church of Blurk. It very much is a church. It really is.
It is.
It really is. It is a church.
So, where'd we leave off in the last segment? What were we going to talk about?
We were doing questions, and we were doing summaries, but we mostly summarized. I mean, I think the crowd sale is really the thing, taking money. Other people are going to use it so that you make money. There you go.
And here's the terrible thing. Here's the absolute terrible thing. I said we were going to pick something up after the break.
Oh,
I've completely forgotten.
Oh, no, yeah. Oh, wait, no, let's try and remember it. It was on top of my brain. Kyle asked about mining. Is mining an investment? So, like, it doesn't require investment to succeed. The mining is sort of like orthogonal.
Hold on.
All
right.
I
got this.
You said you knew the answer. Yeah. You knew the answer, and then you forgot the question.
I know. It's 42.
You knew the answer, forgot the question.
It's 42.
Yeah. What's the question, though? Was it like 6 times 8 in the base of 7 or something? I don't remember what it was.
So, here's the thing. I go out and I buy, what are we calling it? The 21 butt box?
Oh, yeah, we're calling it that now.
All right.
It's certainly earned that name at the very if it's earned anything.
I put it on my desk. I start mining. Did 21 butt box sell me a security? What do you think? Now that you're a smart guy, you've gone through this evaluation. What do you think?
I think they did not, because they just sold you a product. You give the money to them. That's gonna be revenue for them, and they're in the business of doing business. They're not in the business of making money. When they sell you the box, yeah.
You got it.
Thank you.
You got it.
Well, you explained it pretty well.
All right, now, you ready?
As Mr. Miyagi says, no such thing as bad student, only bad teacher. Right?
Are you ready?
I am ready, yes.
Cloud mining.
Yeah, that's okay. That is a tougher one.
No. Think about the orange trees.
Yeah, you're giving it to them, and you and they are both kind of like partners in this.
No,
venture.
you're not a fucking partner.
Well,
what are you're losing time on their machine.
Yeah, the only thing
using
you're doing
their
is
equipment.
Oh yeah, you're
under their management and control, and the only thing you've done is give them money so they give you a share of something later on down the line. It's Howie in the fucking hills.
No, well, it's kind of a really big scam, because there's nothing preventing them from just mining honestly and then telling you that they got really bad luck this quarter and just keeping all the money for themselves. There's like no statistical way to. So that's why many people, including Gavin Andreessen, if I remember correctly, they just say you have to avoid all that cloud mining stuff. It's very dishonest, I think. It has the potential to be very dishonest, certainly. The door is wide open for them to just take your money and not give it back, and say that they can claim with perfect justification that they did it. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. That is you have invested in their mining venture, and you hope that they do well, and then you get your dividends or whatever back. Yeah, I got it.
End result?
Yeah. So the thing about, so you're saying if Ethereum required you to cloud mine, that part of it would also be an investment. But since you do the mining on your own, it's your own thing.
Yeah, so you asked if mining was an investment or not. And the answer is it depends on what level of mining you're doing. So if you get your own hardware and you're controlling when and where it does, you're obviously at that point in time solving the management and control issue under Howey.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
I'm interested though. I don't know. Maybe Kyle meant something else. Like maybe Kyle meant like because it was unfinished, you had to invest into finishing it.
No, I think what Kyle meant was talking about proof of stake.
Yeah.
I think the proof of stake deal that says that you have to have something in order to have some sort of well, maybe let's ask Kyle. Were you talking about proof of stake or not?
Yeah.
Right. We're doing our AMA still. We've answered the questions. I think cloud mining versus regular mining. I think that's a good distinction. Yeah. I think the more that the more we work with this, the more people will start to understand where that line is, where the line is crossed. All right. Okay. Well.
Kyle's not. He's gone. We lost Kyle.
Seems to be.
Well, we did take that break.
Jason, how about the Zcash founder reward? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this goes into that pre-mine stuff that is it's incomprehensible to me. I mean, it's certainly scammy, but on the other hand, I can't see any logical reason for it to be. I mean, it's a reason why
I is the Zcash one where in order to be able to mine, I have to give them a fuckload of money before I get the rights to be able to mine? Or is that Dash?
Maybe we should look it up. That was certainly one of the things that Dash created a lot of the coins for themselves before the public had the opportunity to join in the coin generation process, and then they have this other kind of masternode thing that we might talk about, which pretends to serve one purpose, but maybe also serves a second. It's like going to a bar for the music.
Or, let's see. Or is the Zcash one?
Zcash. So let's talk. Oh, let's just make absolutely certain that we don't.
Oh yeah, here it is. We're getting an explanation here. It says if you get a block, 20% of the block reward goes to the dev fund, right? So that was the thing that we were talking about.
This is what you were talking. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the dev fund deal. So
yeah, So yeah, I'd love to hear your opinion on that, because that is something that I do think is objectively ridiculous, because nothing prevents someone from just copying this experience.
Let me ask you,
just cutting that out. So
let me ask you, Paul. You're a good student. Is taking a dev fund from a block reward? You think that's a security?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the act of taking. Let's think.
Let me give you a hint.
Okay, I think now the hint is no? I think. All right. Let me think about this here. I don't know. I don't understand the hint, so maybe I wasn't.
The hint is no, it's not a security.
Yeah.
It's not a security. And why is that? What flow is the money going?
I don't know, but I think what I would say, even though I don't understand, what I would say is you mined this thing, you chose to mine the money, and then from then on, you choose what to do with. You chose what to mine, A, and then B, you choose what to do with these tokens that you mined. So it should be A plus B. If A is you choosing to mine and B is you choosing where to put this money after it's mined, you should be allowed to do A plus B. If you're allowed to do A and you're allowed to do B, you should be able to mine something where some of the money automatically goes somewhere else. I don't understand why. I mean, the math of it is kind of weird, because they can just give themselves a pre-mine that is sort of equal to that at every point in time or something like that. So it's a little... I just think the whole thing is ridiculous to me, because both the pre-mine and the dev reward are things that you can just surgically cut out of the project. And so it's kind of a contradiction to have them in at all, because they're not good. But
I'd like you to think about this in the construct of what exists in the real world. It's a very simple concept, and when I say it, I'm sure it'll pop into your head.
All right.
Franchise fee.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's franchise. Yeah, it's you start your own. Um, well, okay. I mean, I get what you're saying. Well, I'm more clear on my A plus B thing, which is that. So I guess you're saying like they get to use the network in exchange for.
It's
kickbacks.
McDonald's. It's
Yeah.
fucking McDonald's, right?
Well, maybe I don't
Congratulations.
know. I mean, it doesn't.
Hold
It doesn't
on.
matter to me because you can cut this out. It's impractical. So
No. Think about it.
all right, I'm thinking about it.
We're gonna create Blurt Coin. All right. Right, Church of Blurt Coin.
Yes, you heard it here first, everyone.
And as a result of the creation of Church of Blurt Coin, we're saying that you can mine it. You, franchisee, you want to get in on the Church of Blurt Coin because it's going to be the next greatest coin. And if you want to mine Church of Blurt Coin, you can do that. We'll send you the code. But as a result of mining, you're going to send us back some of that because you're going to get the benefit of our marketing. You're going to get the benefit of our knowledge. You're going to get the benefit of everything else. And all you have to do is put a little 21 butt box on your desk, turn it on. You're going to make money in exchange for us giving you that value, putting our brand right there and securing the network. Yep. You're going to give us a little bit back. It's a franchise fee.
I get it, yeah.
And there's
because you're free to run this franchise as profitably or as unprofitably.
Turn it on, turn it off. We
Yeah.
don't give a fuck. But while it's on, you're going to follow our rules and you're going to give us a cut. Now, there's an entire regulatory scheme over how franchises are to be offered, not offered. And if you're thinking about doing the pre-mine, I would suggest that you do just a little bit of research, either yourself or with an attorney, on how franchises work and what your local jurisdiction might require when it comes to franchises. That's all. I'm not saying that it is definitively. I've never heard anyone talk about the pre-mine and the 20% kickback being a franchise. This is my analysis because that's the regulatory construct that it fits in. Okay? But it's not a security. It's not.
Well, I mean, ultimately, all this stuff is just like a bunch of mathematical kind of divisions. And I think there's a big difference between once the project's on and the project being managed by a team of human beings that live like in the United States and have the capacity to inflict harm on each other. And that's kind of why we have the law.
Yep.
To kind of make I always think of the scales when I think of the law, which is kind of evening stuff out. And I think there's a big difference. I think for me, that's kind of what I've learned is that Satoshi kind of maybe it was much cleverer to put that in. Certainly, it's more of a challenge, A, but B, I think it was really a lot. It did help a lot ethically and legally to just say, this is it. From here on out, you're just multiplying and dividing by numbers and sending those numbers across the internet, and they're just numbers, and they could be poetry or they could be sound waves. They could be anything. And this is just a thing, and there is no human thing involved here anymore. And I think I'm not sure Zcash. We might be able to like find some. I mean, it's these unfinished projects, which is interesting because it's always been something that I've really despised and not liked. But so I'm kind of happy to learn.
Yeah.
That the law already is kind of saying that you're kind of not allowed to do that, and it tries to discourage smart people from.
No, the law doesn't say that you can't do it. The law just says if you are going to do it, there's a certain construct that you need to follow. If you couldn't have a franchise, there wouldn't be McDonald's, there wouldn't be Dairy Queen or Sonic or Taco Bell or El Pollo Loco, right?
Yes.
All right. Well,
let's
take one more question from the forum, and then we'll sign off. Throw it at us, you crazy 26 people that are still here. Friday night eating popcorn.
Friday night
drinking drinks.
No drinks.
We got a Tribe Called Quest going on in the background. I like that. All right, here it goes. Here's a good question. If you are actively promoting a Bitcoin fork to the degree that you create a brand about the fork and actively soliciting investors, and as a direct result of your efforts, there is a hard fork, is there any relevance to securities law?
That's really interesting. See, but this goes. See, this is what I was talking about, the soft and hard fork thing, and I was saying how technical and confusing it was, but how relevant it might be. And now I think we've crashed into that giant world. It's a big question. It's a big knot to unravel. But the hard fork is more along the lines of some outside force, some human is telling you which network you're on. And the other thing is that we're going to have to work on defining these words if we're going to go down that road.
Well, let's just put people's names into it, okay? If
Sure.
you are actively promoting a Bitcoin fork, who's actively promoting right now? For SegWit.
Oh, SegWit is a soft fork.
Oh, sorry, the block size, right?
Yeah, so the Bitcoin Unlimited guys, that would certainly be like Roger Ver, Thomas Zander, Peter R.
Okay,
Those guys over there.
So Roger.
Jihan Wu. Yeah.
Let's
Let's
put
go with
Roger as the
He's
person.
very famous.
So Roger, hypothetically, I'm not saying that you're doing this, Roger, as a
Yes.
result any of this analysis is actually going to have any weight in a court of law against you or otherwise. You're actively soliciting for a block size increase. And
See, here's the thing: the hard fork.
hold on.
Right.
Let's keep it going a little bit. That act of solicitation. What are the words that are being used? Let's think about that for a second. What's the goal?
The goal is to change. Really, speaking technically, in my opinion, I'm not sure if this is how you should speak at all, but the goal is really to create what's called a spin-off, which is an altcoin that has the same account balance histories. So you have an altcoin that's just new rules, new network, new accounts, new account histories. Everything's new. It's total altcoin. It's totally alternative. Then there's this spin-off idea where there's a new network with new rules, but it remembers the same account history.
No, I understand.
And then then there's a soft fork, which is the same network, same rules, same account, same everything. We just add a few more rules for these some conditions. So most of the rules are still the same, plus some new ones. And then the hard fork, what the hard fork really is, in my opinion, and this is like opinion is divided on this, but in my opinion, the hard fork is really just a spin-off where the old chain dies. And you can look at like when Dan Larimer was upgrading BitShares, they would do this a lot, where they'd say, okay, we're upgrading it. We're going to upgrade it like this month, and we're going to keep upgrading it. We upgraded several times. And every time everyone agreed, there was unanimous or near unanimous agreement that the old one was just dead and we'd move to this new one. But the point is that requires someone to tell you. That requires someone to tell you what the new one, which new one is, like where we're all meeting next week, so to speak. And it's different from what Satoshi did, where he turned it on and then vanished, and then the software automatically keeps everyone in consensus. So there's an element of the hard fork of not only creating something new, where you are telling someone where they are now, but I think there is also a strong element that what you've created has replaced the old thing.
Yep.
And
So
the
let's
replacement is important and a very confusing. It's subjective.
So let's think about that in under the lens of the Ethereum hard fork. Now, they did many legit ones where they successfully replaced the old network, but the relevant one is this one where they did not replace the old network, and Right.
people said, "This is not. We don't do this at all." And so then what Vitalik really did, in my opinion, is that the old Ethereum Classic that was like the real Ethereum. But what Vitalik, I think he really did, is he created like Ethereum 2.0, which was a spin-off of Ethereum that remembered the same account histories, but it was a different thing.
well,
And
let's
just to make it really weird and confusing. And I just fully appreciate how confusing and bizarre this is.
in the securities world, it's analog would be a stock split
Yeah, maybe
because Ethereum doubled, right? Ethereum doubled.
Split. Yeah, but it's like a stock split. It's more like, I would say, what's like the opposite of a merger? It's more like a corporate action. It's like is it also called a spin-off? I think it is. When they spun out, like, when they had the conglomerates in the 70s,
Sure.
and they kind of broke them all up. It's sort of like that because they had, but it's not quite like that. It is going to be very hard to fit this
Remember,
into a box.
we're trying to do this under the rubric of the securities laws. All right,
Well,
not under the
exactly
rubric
question.
of the technical laws.
Well, what was the person's question? They said if you campaign for the hard fork, and then the kind of like what happened there.
Right. So
Like, you were trying to
if you are
detail.
actively promoting a Bitcoin fork to the
You have your own brand.
degree that you create a brand about the fork, and actively soliciting investors, and as a direct result of your efforts, there is a hard fork, is there any relevance to securities laws?
I would probably say that there might be, right? Because you're asking for money, and you're saying if we complete this project, it will result in this thing being created.
Well,
And
yeah.
then the thing post creation will not be a security, but getting us from here to there might. I'm not sure though.
So
I
to
think
answer
we
the
should see it
question,
the other way.
we'll answer the
Go the other
question,
way,
and
because it's all private consumption.
because you have to analyze all the things that are happening here. And the first thing that's happening is the active solicitation of investors. Whether you're actively soliciting an investor to buy oranges or ball bearings or anything else, if you're actively soliciting investors, you are actively engaged in the offer of a sale of security, and you're subject to regulation. There may be exemptions from registration, but you're doing it. So of that part of the
But
question,
that's public, right? Because I think so. Like we might be talking about like Roger Vere's private investment in like the Bitcoin.com.
doesn't
mining
matter.
pool.
Doesn't matter. Whether it's public or private, you're still doing it. Just because I could say to you, hey, do you want to invest in the Church of Blurk?
Yeah.
To you, I have offered a sale of security to you. It doesn't have to be out in the open.
Yeah, but how's this though? Because Roger's a citizen of St. Kitts.
Doesn't
and-
matter. Where are you?
Yeah. I'm in the United States. of
Then
course.
it's the offer of a sale of security in the United States, and
All right, I
instantly
guess
subject to the
it
laws.
is.
So,
But what if he might know all of his investors, and none of them might live in the United States? So he might have circumvented this thing in that way. I don't know. I don't know what the questioner is really trying to ask us.
wherever
doesn't mention Roger by name.
wherever the transaction takes place between the buyer and the seller, those are the jurisdictions that are in play. So,
Right.
just because it doesn't happen in the United States doesn't mean that there aren't regulations in the other countries that may be applicable. I think one of the things that folks think is, oh, I'm not doing it in the United States, so I'm not subject to I'm not subject to regulations for securities. Like, no, you're still subject to regulations. You're just subject to the regulations of the countries that you're doing it in. It just may not be the United States.
But
So-
I mean, trying to answer this person's question, I just can't figure it out myself.
Well,
Maybe you know.
I'm digging into it. On the very surface, the easy one to answer is yes. You're actively soliciting investors. The active solicitation of investors. The question is there any relevance to the securities laws for that? Yes. Now, here's the
It
thing
would be
that's
any
interesting.
investment though. It has nothing to do with the Bitcoin hard fork. Or
That's
anything
right.
else.
Any investment. Yeah. So this is where it gets interesting, and we're just about done with my popcorn, which means we're just about done. So. This is where it gets a little interesting.
I know it's pretty confusing.
Because here's what I'm thinking about. And it's a little obscure. I'm just going to admit this right now. And this goes back to our discussion about the manipulation of a security. Okay? Any effort by a control person that has value or can manipulate or has the ability to manipulate an underlying security in order to benefit themselves that could harm the existing security could be held liable for some form of manipulation of the underlying security for doing that. So if a person is actively soliciting for a hard fork of Bitcoin, and that person is seen to be a control person of Bitcoin, or has a controlling amount to it such that people act or treat that person in a fiduciary capacity, the solicitation to harm or manipulate the underlying asset could then therefore be the manipulation of that. And that comes into play when we were talking about Ethereum, right?
Yeah, so I think we have to say something like the Bitcoin is not a security, but maybe hard forking it makes it more security-ish. And then I think actually I think Adam Back, didn't he say something like this? Or someone said something like this. Like
I don't know.
Someone said something like you might get sued if you push the hard fork and it doesn't work or something.
Well,
Something like that.
at a very minimum, you push the hard fork and you're soliciting for it and you're looking for investors to do it. At that point in time, the rebranding, the recreation of this new thing, call it Bitcoin Zero, or making a Coke Zero reference, right?
Yeah.
You're now the person in charge of it, management and control of it, and you put a big target on your back to be the person that anybody comes after when you're doing that. Right? Say Bitcoin Zero doesn't work out and it completely fails. Well, you convinced me to do it. You were the control person. You made it all happen. I invested in you to make it happen. I bought your Bitcoin as a result of it. I thought it was going to go up in reliance on your statements. And so now I'm coming after you. Whereas Bitcoin right now, as Bitcoin, there's nobody to go after.
Yeah, because it is fundamentally like mathematical and not. It's not managed by. So I think, in my view, this is going to be very, whatever. But the law is kind of to help people interact with each other so that people interact with you, you interact with them, and you don't want to get a bad interaction from someone, and you can't. There are things that you're not allowed to do, and so I think it's all about the realm of human behavior.
If we're going to look at this from a mathematical perspective, I would say that the law is looking to make sure that the equation at all points in time is balanced.
Yeah, that's where I see the scales. That's where I feel like the law is. That's my understanding of it. I think a lot of people don't appreciate why the law is important, and I think that's why. Is that if someone takes something from you, it's either going to take something off from them, off there, or it's going to put your thing back, and it's going to help people's interaction. But with Bitcoin, there's no one to interact with. It's just a thing.
That's right.
So that's why I think it makes it great, and I think so. We're really zeroing in on these ICOs are not. I think we were talking about that line of logic, and I think people kind of just assumed that Bitcoin was fine and these altcoins were fine, and the pre-mine is fine and the developer fund is fine, and they just thought, okay, we can do ICOs now, since currency or digital tokens are okay. That means that everything's fair game now, and I think that's where reality is going to re-intersect with these people, and I think. And I can't stand the ICO personally. I think it's ridiculous, and I hope that something. I'm not sure that something. I don't want.
I think it's just fine. I think an ICO is just fine if it's used to do what they say they're going to do with it, and that's the deal, right? You take my money on the promise that you're going to do something with it. Do that. Don't do an ICO to do the next pump and dump scam. That's not the reason to do an ICO. Do the ICO in order to have utility, right? Just do what you say you're going to do, and do the ICOs all day long, and have fun and innovate and do all of that. But don't take Dogecoin and put a new name on it and say, hey, I've got the greatest thing since sliced bread. Buy it. Wait for it to go from 0.0000001 to 0.0000002 on Poloniex. You doubled your money, you dumped the fucking shit out, and then you disappear. Right? Because that's all you need to double your money, is that one blip. And that's what I see with these pump and dump ICOs, and it pisses me off. Anyway, on that note, not to be negative, Paul, this has been awesome having you on. I really enjoyed the analysis. I really like the way your brain works, man. I think we could probably have some fun doing this again.
It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. We've tackled some serious stuff.
It's fun.
We'll do it again. We'll come up with another topic and we'll try to dig into it. For now, I want to thank Rihanna for providing the Pandora. She provides good music, although I don't know what's going on with the Katy Perry on the Hip Hop Urban channel. It's just
that's not.
I don't know. We're gonna advance that forward. There we go. Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh, Rihanna's dancing again. Paul, I'm going to say goodnight. We're going to bring Rihanna in, let her dance a little bit.
There we go.
Thanks very much. Oh, and Paul, remember, I'm not your lawyer.
I will remember that. Not yet.
Not yet. Have a good night, Paul.
Yeah, have a good night. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, everyone. Paul, great content. Good job. Oh my gosh, he was amazing. We're going to do it again. I'm not sure what we'll do, but we'll pick a topic. You've been watching the I'm Not Your Lawyer show. We tackled the question of, is Ethereum a security? I think we came up with a good answer. We applied the law to it. We talked about other aspects of it. We examined the DAO just briefly. Thought, what would a regulation look like? Regulation could be good. It can be bad. We also gave a little bit of a warning to those out there looking to do an ICO. You might want to think first before you do it. You don't want to be the one that's made an example of. Anyway, with that, I'm Jason. She's Rihanna. I'm not your lawyer, but I could be. Paul's watching.
Hi, Paul. How are you?